Today, we are talking about the three beliefs that I shifted that helped me get to one session client breakthroughs. And so, once I shifted these three beliefs, it really helped me to be present with my clients, so that I was able to help them receive the massive breakthroughs in just one session compared to what they have previously experienced in like 10, 7 or 5 sessions. We all condensed it in one, and it was super powerful. My clients were happy, I was fulfilled, and I got a lot of my time back. So let us begin. The very first belief that I shifted was something that was taught in the hypnosis modality that I was initially trained in. And so this was the fact that, or the belief that our clients, the reason why they have issues and the root cause of their issues is because they don't feel good enough, right? It was really drilled into us that the root cause of most of our clients are because they don't feel good enough, which makes sense because we're not where we want to be, due to some sort of belief, thought pattern, conclusions that we have that may or may not have something to do with feeling not good enough. It makes sense that if someone doesn't feel good enough, for example, to attract a healthy, loving relationship, that they will not see the relationships or the people in their lives that they can have happy, healthy relationships with if they don't feel good enough for it, or they feel unworthy or undeserving of it. That makes sense, right? However, that doesn't mean that feeling not good enough is the root cause of our client's issue. Why? Because feeling not good enough is simply a symptom of a deeply rooted problem, right? There is a reason why client A doesn't feel good enough for a happy relationship. Client B, C, D, and E may also feel that they're not good enough for a healthy, loving relationship, but the reasons as to why all of these clients feel that symptom level not feeling good enough for healthy, loving relationships is going to be different for each person because each person is different, right? And so once I understood this, I stopped having this confirmation bias, right? The confirmation bias that we as coaches as hypnotists have when we think, oh, or we assume that the reason why our clients aren't where they want to be is that they don't feel good enough. While that may be true, or that may while it may be valid, we don't really know for sure. We won't know 100% for sure until we ask them during the session. And if we come into the assumption inside our sessions or during the session that, oh, they're going to say that there's not good enough, then we block ourselves from exploring it deeper. Because once our client says, oh, it's because I don't feel good enough, we kind of just stop there if we believe that that's the root cause, right? But actually, fact of the matter is there's a reason why they don't feel good enough, and it's hidden underneath this deep layer that we get to help our clients with, right? And so, because I stopped believing that it stopped at not good enough, the not good enough symptom level, I allowed myself and allowed the facilitation with my clients to go deeper into the deep levels as to why they don't feel deserving, why they don't feel good enough. And it is through exploring the deeper layer behind why they don't feel good enough was where the actual magic happened, was where the actual transformation happened. And no, it does not take longer to do it, right? Because if you don't have that confirmation bias, as in putting your clients into a box of this client doesn't feel good enough, once you stop doing that, then it's actually going to be easier to just be curious and step back and ask your clients the questions that they need in order for them to receive the breakthroughs that they desire. We're not putting the client into a box, which also means that they are no longer going to be resistant because they can tell if you're trying to put them into this box of feeling not good enough, let's say, right? Whereas if you just have an open conversation, if you're just curious and if you're just, asking them questions through the hypnotic interview, which is what we do in ACH, if we just allow ourselves to go with our clients in that manner, then it helps them get to that deeper layer faster because they can tell that you genuinely care about what they have to say and that you're genuinely asking the right questions to get them to that deep level. And so when I did this, the breakthroughs were much faster because they were not put in a box. They could feel that unconsciously, and we were able to really delve into the very deep layers of their issues. So that's number one. Number two is that I stopped expecting the whiz, bang, big firework type transformations. And this is very hard for me at the beginning because it's so easy to get caught up in expecting each of our clients to be like, "Oh my God, that was so amazing. That was so transformational," which does happen. But during the session, the focus that I had with each client and still have with each client is not to look for the big transformation. The focus is actually to look for the smallest transformation that can give them the biggest result. So what do I mean by this, right? Think about it this way. If someone was a couch potato and they wanted to run a marathon, do you think that tomorrow running a 20K would be the best thing for them? No, right? Not the big one. However, if they were to start with walking maybe half a kilometer tomorrow and then gradually increase, that person is going to be more likely to train well for that marathon instead of someone who just went from 0 to 20K in a day expecting it to be there and to work and to be sustainable, right? And so it's the same thing for transformations for our clients, right? Yes, we want them to have big transformations. Yes, I always talk about in ACH, we have fast and lasting transformations. The reason why it's fast is because the perspective shift is so tiny. And because it's so tiny, it's easier to transcend and to connect with every area in their life. Let me give you an example. So, for example, you have a client who wants to put themselves out there, but every time they talk to okay, rewind that. You have a client who wants to attract a healthy, loving relationship. And every time they put themselves out there to meet a potential partner, they freeze, they don't know what to say, they doubt themselves, right? For example, that's the person. Um, is it going to be good or the best advice for them if you tell them to just go to every, man or woman or whatever sexual preference they need and just put themselves out there and just tell them exactly what they want and want to get married, they want to have kids, they want to get the big house to all of the potential partners that they'll meet and have this big huge shebang that isn't really 100% reality driven. No, that's not going to help them, right? However, if you help them shift in a tiny manner where they can just say, "Oh, why don't you just talk to someone you might be interested in, and instead of going straight for the jugular and asking them to be your partner, why don't you just get to know them and just talk to them as if you were a friend?" And it's that small breakthrough and them realizing that, oh, all I have to do is, try to get to know someone instead of, completely laying everything out at the first date, right? That tiny shift in their mind is going to make them more likely to attract healthier relationships because, well, they're actually getting to know the person. And second, they're not giving themselves the opportunity and that heartbreak of potentially getting rejected by everyone, or it's too high of a leap for them to do that sustainably. That's why crash diets don't work, right? Because it's not sustainable. It's the same thing for client transformations. Once I was able to just help my clients shift that small amount, make sure that that small shift is tested multiple times using emotions and scenarios and in everything that we teach in ACH, once that get tested and gets rigid and becomes really robust, then it is through that small seed that gets planted and watered over time by that client that helps them have the lasting results. It is fast because their thinking processes shift fast right within the session because they're processing it in a small manner, and the small insight helps them to connect to everything that the subconscious has connected with regards to the situation. So that's why that was the biggest, probably one of the biggest beliefs I've ever done. It actually also put less pressure on myself to know that we're just looking for that tiny shift, that perspective shifts to help them move forward. So that is number two. And number three was shifting the belief that more equals better, that more sessions, more recordings, more homework, more time with clients, more calls with clients, um, more touch points with the clients will help them get better results. What I actually started doing was trimming the fat. Um, for a metaphor, was look at the processes that actually didn't help or wasn't proven to help client breakthroughs, and I removed them and really lived by a very lean not only business model but client delivery model, where I only delivered the delivered to clients based on what I knew was proven to work, which is just a few sessions for certain issues. So my longest, for more than a year now, for a year and a half now, my almost 2 years, my longest working time with a client is 6 weeks. That's it. And they get tremendous results in just those 6 weeks amount of time. I used to have 12 weeks, and I actually used to have 4 weeks for my transformational money mindset business. Then I switched to relationships. So my relationship coaching was only in 6 weeks. And now it's actually, I reduced it to 4 weeks, and it's better results. Because I was able to deliver efficiently at that small amount of time. And the commitment of the clients are just in that small amount of time, and they get amazing results in that small amount of time, because it kind of gives their minds a time. So, okay, I have this 4 weeks to really impact, and then the results compound. So it sets up the expectation, and it primes the clients and yourself as the coach too, to ensure that you deliver the results at that time, which may seem that it's a lot of pressure, but actually it's less pressure, because the people who are attracted to those types of programs are the action takers, are the people who are motivated to get out of the problem now. So they will do whatever it takes, and are motivated by the fact that they don't have to take that long to receive the results. So those are the clients you'll attract. So better quality clients, actually, by doing less, and of course you're earning more, which is better for your business, right? So once I realized that less is more, not just in the business aspect, but also at the same time for the client delivery aspect, not doing the really long, I'm trained in hypnosis, so not doing the inductions at all, not doing the deepeners at all, not doing the suggestibility at all, not giving them the recording at the end, not getting them to listen to the recording afterwards for 30 days. I removed all of that, and my clients got better results because I ensure that within the session, as I mentioned in this video already, the in the session, it was when we actually got to the root cause, and I had have mini sessions, because we're actually focused on investigating the problem and rewiring their mind that way, instead of giving them and relying on repetition to give the results. Repetition is important. Repetition is what helps create client results, but at the same time, knowing how to initiate and recircuit the mind in just one session, like 2 or 3 max, was what really helped me create powerful one session, because in that way, the simplicity of it is what really um, makes it more digestible for the client, and it makes it better for them, right? Because you're actually going into the deep layer of their issues in that one session. And how can it not be powerful if you're going to the really deep layer of why they're doing what they're doing, right? So these were the 3 beliefs that really helped me to have one client breakthroughs Just to summarize, the first one is to not assume that feeling good enough is the root cause because there's deep layers behind why they feel that way. Number two is the fact that I stopped looking for the big firework type transformations and focus on the smallest transformations that compound over time. And number three is that less is more. Saying less in the sessions, giving my clients less, shortening the programs to allow for faster transformations. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, let me know and I will see you soon.